I have been in both traditional and non-traditional aspects of education throughout my entire life, and I'm grateful to be able to serve in this capacity. Those experiences have shaped me throughout my career. One, being a woman, and two, being a Black woman. Three is being a young Black woman. And sometimes you don't see so many of yourselves in the rooms that you walk into, especially as women. Sometimes it's a male dominated area when you get into the upper echelons of leadership. And so my experiences sometimes has been to come off as incredibly strong, incredibly serious, so that I could gain the confidence of my peers who were sometimes much older and also generally have been white males. And so I've had to do a lot of work to ensure that I could prove myself. I'm going to share one experience that I've had that um, really just allowed me to see life in a different way. After becoming the state director of career and technical education, I was approached to become a superintendent. And what I want to share about that is number one, um, I've had a lot of firsts and onlys in my life. When I became the career and technical education director, I was the first Black woman to be able to do it, the first African American and the first African American woman to do that. Coming into the superintendency, I am the first woman and the first woman of color to do that as a statewide charter authorizing superintendent. So, a statewide superintendent for charter schools. So, I've walked into a lot of firsts. And even in Orangeburg, when I started the charter school there, we were the first charter school to set up there. And thankfully, that was an excellent school. So I've had a lot of firsts throughout my careers, and one of those was being approached to apply for a superintendency position in another statewide charter authorizing organization. And when I applied for that job, I was invited to do so. I did not do so without that. When I applied for that job, I furnished my credentials to the individuals who would be judging me, as well as in interviewing me, as well as a plan of action to move forward to show how we could move that organization forward. Well, I was in competition also with a counterpart, a friend of mine who knew the individuals very well. However, he did not have the experience that I had. He openly admitted it to me. We talked about it outside of the interviews and so forth. And thankfully, I'm glad to say that we're still friends today. However, when we looked at the credentials, um, he admitted and said, "There's no way that I'm going to get this job over you." Well, I come to say that he did get it. And I was incredibly disappointed. One is being a woman who has a vast amount of experience and historical references of excellence in working in leadership. But also, it was devastating because I felt like I was underwater breathing and trying to make traction. And I said, what do I need to do to prove that I know what I'm doing? What does it really take? I have all the credentials, I have all the experience, I can see from various vantage points. And I had to take a step back for a moment because I was incredibly disappointed with the system. And I don't know why I was, because there, the way to change the system is you have to work in it. And there are pressures that you place externally on it, but then also internally to make those changes. So I had to take a step back and just really find out, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to make my impact in the world, and how I was going to let that experience shape me. I could have walked away and said, I don't want to do another position in leadership, or let me just do the safe ones. And not take the risk and really pursue my passions. That experience shaped me in a way that it built a level of resilience in me to understand that I do know what I know, that I can walk in any room and be confident because I'm prepared for that. But then also, if I'm invited in the room or if I'm invited for a seat at the table, I am supposed to be there. So that's one thing that I can share with you, is to always remember that when you are in the room, if you are the only, because sometimes you'll be the only woman, you'll be the only minority woman, you'll be the only one woman that's younger than everyone else, and sometimes that will happen, and you have to be comfortable with walking in the room to be the only, but then also uncomfortable in the fact that that's the case and you open the door for others. So never settle with being the only, but always walk in confidence to get there.